First off, before I get started here, I want to say a shout out to Lily Pivodo, Executive Director of Thon, and the rest of her group that she works with, her committees, the other committees that are in charge of, every bit part of what they're doing. And then everybody that danced in it, everybody that came and supported the people that danced, the donations from across the country, all Penn State people. And it really is like fascinating to see. And so just wanted to, for what they're doing, for helping the kids and each and every year topping that and being better than the next. So I don't know who the executive director is going to be next year, but Lily has put a huge target on somebody to do an outstanding job because $15 million is very impressive. So there's people out there doing real stuff. I'm just out here coaching hoops.
Hey, Micah, how are you?
I'm great.
You guys actually have some time between games, between last game and next game. How do you handle that when it comes to practice? Like, do you maintain a normal practice schedule? You give guys extra days off, and how do you think that can help you at this point in the season?
Yeah, it's a balance of both, right? We want to continue to work on the things that we've been emphasizing, keep getting better, keep working on ourselves while still preparing for Ohio State, and then also kind of balancing rest at the same time, right? Like, I go through and look at people's schedules, and there are, like, there's some people that we get until Thursday. There's some people get the whole week. Like, I still like playing games, right? When you feel like you're in a pretty good rhythm, when you're in a good groove, you want to keep playing, you want to keep it going. So there's things that we'll get a chance. We don't need to spend as much time like on our feet, being physical, doing what we need to do for an extra day, right? We've been going 2 days of practice, game. Now we get one extra day in there. We can really focus on ourselves in this day, keep getting better at what we're getting better at, while not really taxing these guys physically, and use it as a rest day before we really start getting into Ohio State prep.
Micah, how are you?
Good.
So besides what, Jalen's been able to accomplish on the floor, in the stat sheet, what has he meant to this team in other ways other than numbers?
Yeah, he is. I think one of the biggest things is confidence is like a huge thing for college basketball players, right? It's a huge thing for everybody. Like, what he's given our guys confidence with how he's playing, right? Like, I can be a little more free. I can play a little more loose when I know this dude next to me is, getting 40, getting 30, like shouldering a lot of things, right? It takes the pressure off a lot of people. And I think, like, he's embracing that. He knows, like, he doesn't have to do that every single night, because we got a lot of capable guys that can step up and help him. But when he does do things like that, when he is playing like this, like, it feeds off. Like, other guys are feeding off that in gaining confidence, and I think that's one of the biggest things. Like, he's led by example. He's led with his voice. He's committing to guarding on the other end. Like, he's doing a lot of really good things for us on and off the court. But when he's in a groove like this, other guys are gaining confidence because they're playing right next to him. I bet Robin feels good when Batman walks in, right? Robin's probably I watch some of that stuff, but Robin doesn't have the car, the tools, the belt, the butler, none of that stuff. So if he's going to fight by himself, I'm Robin. I can get it done. But then when Batman rolls in, it's like Robin takes it to a different level now. Punches are a little harder.
to follow up on that, Micah, it's been a while since Penn State's had an All-American player. For people who don't see Jalen every game like we do or you do, what would your case be for him as an All-American? Because that's obviously a very high honor.
Yeah, he is. I don't know. I guess you just don't. I don't know. I guess you just don't appreciate him if you don't see him. But like even if you don't see him, if you just looked at the numbers, right? I think Denzel Valentine's the only guy in the last 30 years or something that's 17, 7, and 7. Like if you just heard that, you'd be like, wow, that's pretty impressive, right? Like I don't even know if you need to watch him. And it's also he's doing it in the best league in the country against people he's number one on the chart of people trying to stop him each and every game, and he's continuing to do it night in, night out, right? So what he's doing is really impressive, and if you watch him, it becomes even more impressive. But scoring, rebounding, assists, I don't know what more you can ask for, and it's on us, right? We got to continue to win. We got to continue to win games so he gets rewarded for the season that he's having. That's where it's on us, me as a coach and the rest of our guys, to keep playing the way that we're playing, so we can win games. So he gets rewarded for that. Like that's when people get individual accolades, is when you win, and that's something that he deserves.
Hi, Coach Shrewsberry. Colin Chrissy of Basic Blues Nation. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Colin, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So after the Minnesota game, you mentioned Coach Franklin's mentality of going 1-0. How have you applied this to the team, and why is it so important in this latter half of February and going into March?
Yeah, I think we've just been really focused, right? There's so much going on. There's so much outside noise. There's you can get lost in a lot of different areas. We've just been really focused on ourselves. Like, how can we be the best version of ourselves? How can we be the best version of ourselves for 40 minutes, possession by possession? And that's all we're trying to do. We told them before, Minnesota. We told them before Illinois. Like, it's the most important game of our schedule on our season. It's the next game. And that's it. That's all we're focused on. And you stay in the moment like that. You keep just focusing on the process. The results will take care of themselves. So, we'll finish up with Minnesota stuff today. We'll watch film of them, and then we'll continue to get better, and then we'll start Ohio State prep tomorrow. And Ohio State's the most important game of our season, right? Because it's the very next one. And our guys have been focused in that way of just thinking about what's next, what's directly in front of you.
Jalen was obviously a very accomplished player before the transfer here. But just from that first month of games last year to now, how much better is he than that version? And how much work, I guess, has gone into what he's become now?
Yeah, a lot of work has gone into it. And, it took me some time to figure out the best way to utilize him, too. So a lot of that first month was that was on me, his slow start and what he needed to do to be his best version of himself. Now, he's figured that out, but he's also figured out a way to work and what's best for him to maximize himself as a player. So he spends a lot of time in here throughout the day, in the mornings, coming in and working out extra, staying after practice and getting extra shots up. He's spending a lot of time. He's up watching film all the time. He's never satisfied, right? That's where I think some people could be satisfied by having a pretty good season. I don't think he's ever satisfied. He loves basketball, first and foremost. Like, eat, breathe, sleep, like basketball. And he has a thirst for knowledge of how I can get better. So he's watching film, he's talking to people, he's working on his game. And then, sometimes when you do that and you see the results, you want more. You want more. And like, you keep doing it and you keep doing more. And that's what he's doing. So, like, we knew he was a good player. But what he's doing right now it's been unbelievable. I did tease him the other day that it was Quinnipiac Siena game his freshman year, and he always talks about how he had 46 in that game. But I've never, ever in that story heard him say that somebody on the other team had 51. So that's an unknown story right there. That part gets left out a lot on the Siena side and on the Jalen Pickett side. So he said it wasn't his matchup, but somebody had 51 in that game, and it wasn't him.
Micah, you guys had some rough losses before the game against Illinois, and then Jalen goes and drops 41, and then you guys build off of that and beat Minnesota. Has his performance kind of re-energized this team?
I think it's helped energize it. We had, leading up to Maryland, we had some really good practices. We had great energy leading into that game, coming out of that game. We did good things. We didn't sustain it for 40 minutes, but we were doing good things, and we felt good about how we were playing. Even though we didn't get the result that we wanted to. Leading into Illinois, we felt great. This place was buzzing at shoot around. Our guys' energy was great. And, then you go out and you play well, and it helps, right? What he's doing is like a bonus on top of it. But I think they felt good before he did it, right? They felt good about where we were going, the direction we were heading. And, it's just been – he's just added to it with his play the last two games. But I think a lot of guys have done some really good things for us. And right, it gets – because he's having such a great year and he's had two unbelievable games in a row, some guys are flying under the radar. But I like what they're doing, and I like where we're heading as a team.
Talking about guys that have been a little under the radar, Cam, I'm not necessarily sure that in totality this might be the year that he imagined coming in here, but I think 2 of the last 4 games he's really showed up. I mean, what does that look like behind the scenes with him trying to keeping that confidence up and being able to step up when the team has needed him to?
Yeah, I think maybe it's you're getting towards the end too as an older player, as a senior, and he's just trying to do what we need to do to have success. And people guard us in a lot of different ways, right? Sometimes, we go away from some of the things that he does just because, it might not be the matchup or it may not be something that's advantageous for us. But, I thought some of the things that he did in the pick and roll and the other day was just because of how they guarded and what Minnesota chose to do. It freed him up, to have more responsibility. And he's stayed positive throughout, right? Sometimes he's lost confidence in his shot or in himself, but he's doing good things for us. I thought, one of the biggest plays of the game was the first play when the ball swung to him and he hit a 3 and hit the corner 3 to start the game. Right now he feels good about himself. Now other shots start to fall, and I think that confidence, because he's been upset, he's had some wide open ones, at crucial times that he's missed, but he continues to work, he continues to stay after it. like I said, sometimes you just, even though you're going through the process and you're doing everything right, things don't always work out for you. And that's when, you can lose confidence a little bit. It's like, man, you said get in the gym, do more, and do this, and things would happen, and it doesn't, right? But for him to see that first ball go through, for him to make that first shot, right, that could be the flip for him right there, right? He could go 3 straight games double figures, 14 point. Like, that's all it takes is one positive thing to happen. So, I hope it is. I hope that was it that drives him, because now he gives you another weapon that with the ball in hands, without the ball in his hands, is a threat to score for us.
Micah, we've talked a lot about freshmen popping in and out of the rotation this season. Does what Kanye's done the last few games feel more sustainable just because he's bringing an element, putting pressure on the rim that maybe you guys didn't have on the team prior to that?
Yeah, it helps us. It opens things up just because people are scared. Like, they don't want to leave Funk. They don't want to leave Seth. Miles continues. They still, like, even though Miles went through that stretch where he wasn't making shots, his numbers are still high as a 3-point shooter. So, like, people are worried about that. People are worried about the amount of threes that we can make if you help. So they're staying home a lot. So Kanye's value really goes up because he's playing a lot of one-on-one basketball and, in the middle of the floor, on the side of the court, playing off pick and rolls, and him getting to the basket now is going to force people you got to make decisions, what you want to do. It's like the same thing with Pickett in the post. You got to make a decision. You're either going to stay at home and let him score, or you're going to double him and let him have his choice of 3-point shooters. It's the same thing with Kanye in those drives. Is you're either leaving him one-on-one or you're helping a little bit. Now that's opening up other guys to get opportunities to shoot. So, yeah, I think his value as a guy that can beat his man off the dribble, that can play off pick and rolls, is really increasing as we head down the stretch of the season.
This is another one of those odd situations where you're seeing a team for the first time this late in the season. Have you had an opportunity to get a look at Ohio State and kind of what's your take on what's going on there? Because just at first glance, you see all the losses, but what are you seeing, I guess?
Yeah, I haven't dove into it yet. I watched them play, and see a lot, and I'm sure they're really frustrated with what's happening, but it's like Minnesota, where you can play some teams and you start to get into February and they haven't won, and they're going to quit, right? Minnesota was not that. Like, Ben has them playing extremely hard. They still had some life to them, some juice to them. Ohio State's the same way, right? It didn't, their score, they got beat yesterday, but they also had some injuries to Zed Key, which, you don't want to lose a 5-man before you're going to play Purdue, right? You're starting center. So, like, that was not a great matchup for them because of the injury. But they're fighting and they're competing. And when I look at them, I'm like, well, this is the same team that got picked pretty high at the start of the season. Top 5 probably in the Big Ten without me going back and looking. Bryce Sensabaugh is one of the best scorers in this league. Justice Suing has been that way. Sean McNeil is a big-time 3-point shooter. Bruce Thornton has had a really good year as a freshman point guard. Ike Likely has played in the NCAA tournament. Like, they have guys that are capable, right? So you don't prepare for what they are doing. You prepare for what they are capable of. And they're capable of beating anybody. They're capable of beating anybody. You let them feel good, you let them get rhythm, they're going to beat you, right? And that's they are still competing. They are still as talented as they were at the start of the season. Now it's about, you got to go there and you got to play well, and that's a really important thing. So, it's gonna be a dogfight. That's what I'm expecting from from those guys and how they play and what they do. And I know that staff, well with guys I've worked with over there now, and Jack Owens, like those guys are prideful, and so are those players. So this is going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle for us. Paper doesn't play the game. Players do. And if paper played the game, that'd be awesome for us. But they give out scholarships at the Ohio State University last I checked.